Welcome, everyone. Welcome.
I think we're giving everyone a minute, unless everybody's here that's registered, or
You have about you had about 20 people register. You have 11 on right now. Maybe just give it another minute too.
okay, let's give it another minute. Yeah.
There are definitely some faces and names that I recognize, and I'm really, really, really excited. Hi, Gus. Hi, Aaron.
Great to see you, Anna. Long time no see.
Agreed. Good stuff. Steph, do you want me to go ahead and put up our slide deck? Or is anyone from the clubhouse plan to do an introduction? Sorry, I should have checked in on dress rehearsal beforehand.
No worries. Yeah, we can just kick it off whenever you're ready. I don't have anything to say other than thank you all for being here. So yeah, I'll pass it over to you.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and get started. Hi, everyone. So wonderful to be here with all of you. We are from iRobot Education talking today about leveling up from block to text coding. So a lot of you have been working with the root coding robots in your clubhouses or Best Buy Teen Tech Centers. So we're hoping to chat more with you about how that experience has been, and then also share some of the resources that we recommend to help with that transition up. So that's ours for today. I'll go ahead and introduce myself, and I'll kick it over to Rebecca. My name is Anna. I'm a learning designer with the iRobot Education team. I'm a previous clubhouse coordinator, so I was in Movement City, just north of Boston and Lawrence, Massachusetts for quite a few years before joining the team here. So wonderful to be full circle back with folks in a different capacity. Most of my time is spent with Rebecca and our very small team at iRobot, focused on learning design, content development, professional development. So lots of great things that we'll be sharing with you today, but that's me. I'll kick it over to Rebecca.
Hi, everyone. It's nice to meet you. As Anna said, I'm Rebecca Attia. I serve on the iRobot Education team. So just for some context, because iRobot might be becoming a household name at this point, there are Roomba robot vacuums. So that's like the flagship product of our parent company, which is iRobot. And then iRobot Education is a very tiny slice of a team that is focused on celebrating robotics through education and promoting more access to advanced robotic materials. So I myself create lessons with Anna, and I also serve on the software team as our user experience designer. So a mission of mine is to make sure that the tools that we have are easy, accessible, and unintimidating. Yeah, nice to meet you all.
If everyone doesn't mind popping in the chat, obviously all of you are pretty well familiar with each other, but just to give Rebecca and I some context, just let us know where your clubhouse or Best Buy Teen Tech Center is located, and your favorite pizza topping, and we'll see where folks are chiming in from.
What is your favorite pizza topping, Anna?
Oh, yeah, put me on the spot. I'm gonna say just a plain Jane straight cheese, but I like fresh mozzarella, so maybe like margarita pizza, some fresh mozzarella, some basil.
Nice.
How about you?
We're big into broccoli right now. It's like the only way I can get my daughter to eat broccoli is if it's on pizza. So that's how we've been doing it at our house.
I feel the same way. Grace and I have a lot in common.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, as folks are putting their favorite pizza toppings, maybe you're feeling broccoli, maybe basil, fresh mozzarella, wherever your heart lands. Just a real quick overview on what we plan to cover a little bit more in depth today. You just re-met Rebecca and I, some of you first time. We're going to deep dive into kind of what's new in level 2. We'll do an overview of our 1, 2, 3 levels that we offer in the iRobot coding app, and then look at what's happening in level 2 for those of you that are dabbling in it or feeling very confident there. And then we're going to level up to level 3. OMG level 3, have some fun, see where that lands with our drag and drop Python interface. And then we're going to jump into our Python web playground. So this is a brand new coding interface that we have just recently launched. So we'll be able to give you a demo and access to how your code can grow with you in that way. And then a lot of folks are looking at how do we level up? We're really confident in level 1, but what are some strategies to encourage members to move up beyond that? We're going to share some of our favorite projects that folks have created over the past couple of years, ourselves included, and then talk through some next steps. So the way Rebecca and I run our sessions are hopefully very interactive. So if folks have questions along the way, please feel free to put them in the chat. Unmute or ask us. We'd love to hear from you all and how things are going. So super. Questions so far? Okay, great. So we'll jump into, we have a couple more questions for everyone. We're wondering for folks that are using the iRobot coding app already in your clubhouses and your Best Buy Teen Tech Centers, which coding levels are students using the most? Is it level 1? Our graphical interface, level 2, which is our hybrid experience, or level 3, which is drag and drop Python. Awesome. Dolores, your members are using level 2 and 3. Got some level 1s, level 2s. Awesome. I'm also checking in on, we got mushroom lovers here, pepperoni, jalapenos. Let's go. Okay, so it looks like folks we've got a good range here. Definitely level 1, some level 2, and then a couple folks checking in at level 3. Okay, awesome. Some folks are just starting, heading for level 1. I love it. Perfect. Our next question is, what is your personal experience with coding in Python? Are you, I guess, on a scale of 1 to 5, right? Are you 1? I have no idea what I'm doing. This is probably my very first introduction to Python. 2, 5, I'm a low-key software developer on the side, writing in Python every day. Kind of where do you fall in that spectrum, 1 to 5? Very low. Okay, great. 3-ish. Okay, using with Raspberry Pi. 1.25. I love the precision. Okay. This is awesome. 2.25. Okay, cool. So folks are leveling up. I love to see this. Awesome. All right. So that gives Rebecca and I a good perspective on kind of where we're at with our group here. So some of you might know more than we do. Some of you have a different background experience. We're all here to learn with and learn from. So if you have questions or suggestions, again, please toss them out our way. But thank you for sharing. Awesome. So jumping into just a quick refresher on what iRobot Coding App offers. So our code embedded within the app itself is designed to scale and grow seamlessly with you and your members. So this is someone beginning off using some basic blocks here, leveling up to, this is our level 2 interface, and then all the way up to level 3, which is our full text syntax, so drag and drop functionality, but really designed to scaffold that learning so that it does extend and grow up with you, right? There's ability to go back and forth. Looking specifically at the app itself, this is our overview here. So level 1 is all completely graphical based, really great for folks getting started with code or folks who are really fluent in their coding journey. Rebecca and I still use level 1 a lot. We'll talk through some building out blueprints to start your code. But once you get really comfortable and confident and you want that extra challenge, you can move up to level 2, which is our hybrid interface. So this introduces a lot more precision, like that 1.25, 2.25, we're seeing decimals in the chat. You can start to do that with your code in terms of degrees that you're turning or distances that you're moving. We also introduce variables and lots of additional blocks here that we'll talk more in depth about as well. Moving up to level 3 is all based in Python. So it's still your drag and drop functionality to protect yourself from any kind of syntax error that can be rather heartbreaking. But just as a reminder, we're available across platform on iOS devices, Android devices, and also on our web app using some browser like Chrome. So thinking about block coding, we get a lot of questions on what is the purpose of block coding. A lot of teachers that we're working with or educators are like, is it really real coding? And so just wanted to talk through just hopefully all of you are on the same page that this is a really real way for students, for members to be learning how to code. And it's a really accessible way as well, right? If you start someone off in a text editor for Python, I myself am going to be like, oh, this is not the right learning space for me. So thinking about creating interfaces that are more developmentally appropriate and engaging and accessible for users. So there are lots of different programming languages. Many of you are probably fluent in many others. But looking at just the purpose and the importance behind what block coding is, and that it is a real legitimate programming language. Awesome. All right, so level 2, this is our high level overview, and then we're gonna jump into some demos. In level 2, I mentioned a little bit, we're starting to expand our parameters, and I have 2 dogs at home, so you're gonna hear them a little bit. We're expanding parameters. We're starting to have a lot more precision in what we can do and what we can execute with code. So your level 1 blocks, as you tap on them to open up those block editors, you are open to a different editor with a lot more functionality and capability than you were in level 1. Obviously on purpose, we don't want to overwhelm new users or early learners that are using the iRobot coding app for the first time. But our new blocks, which are really exciting, Rebecca's going to model some of these. We start to introduce coordinates, so you can use your X and Y coordinate grid and start to navigate that way. Arc block is one of our personal favorites and start to create a really beautiful curve. You can get those perfect circles. We were talking about those in a previous training. We introduce conditional statements using if and if then, if else blocks, as well as variables. So starting to create as many variables you want to store that information. Comment blocks are new in level 2. Again, we talk about those in terms of always documenting your process and making note of what variables mean, but also as a really fun way for for users that are creating projects to introduce kind of surprise elements. If you wanted to, we'll talk about this in our project examples as well, but if you wanted to give a coding prompt, you can put that in a comment block and send that out to members to code a response to. We also introduced a say block, which will communicate in Roots Robo language, which is quite fun for students and members to be able to start to decipher and translate as well. Awesome. Level 3 again, so now we're moving up to the final level in the iRobot coding app. This is again in our drag and drop Python full text syntax. So that drag and drop functionality is something that we really pride ourselves in, and I think that 2 to 3 switch for me when I was working with members, I think was the most important element because it keeps it safe and it keeps it accessible. So I can still level down and see kind of what I'm building and something that makes more sense to me versus looking at a lot of words and punctuation that might not have the same effect. So leveling up to level 3, again, it has that scaffolded approach. So that students and members can start to learn and be able to navigate all the way back up down to level 1 if necessary. So lots more functionality here. And then another quick overview. So we talked through levels 1, 2, and 3 in the coding app itself. Our Python web playground, this is what we're highlighting today. This is essentially the level beyond level 3. This is designed originally for our Create 3 robot, which also just was released for working in ROS 2. It's compatible with our Python web playground, as well as our root coding robot. So our engineers decided that they wanted to have more capability, so we included our root robot as well. But this is a full text editor. So now you're typing into the project editor here. There are lots of Python tutorials embedded as well that Rebecca, myself, and our entire software team has been building to kind of get you started and help you along the way. There's some blank shells of code templates that you can use to start to learn how programs work, specifically in Python. And then there's lots of additional embedded supports. We have some docs, some cheat sheets, if you will, rather, that are embedded within the platform itself. So we're gonna full circle model this at the end, but just wanted to give you a quick preview of what our tools are so that you can use them with members. And I will kick it over to Rebecca.
Awesome. So how do I want to start with this? All right, so the coding interface, right? So one thing that Anna mentioned in her overview of level 1 versus level 2 versus level 3 is that we've specifically designed certain levels to have limitations. And that is to put students in a place where they're really comfortable in level 1 and they want to do something very cool, like keep time or keep score. And they're just then hopefully intrinsically motivated to level up themselves is the goal there. So level 1, we could have made a lot more powerful. It's a super powerful level already. But then in order to get that push, we're hoping that students will go up to level 2. When you're talking about level 3, if you all are familiar, you've probably realized at this point that level 3 right now doesn't have any special abilities that are unlocked. There are no blocks that are exclusive to level 3 yet. In the future, there will be. But for right now, what it really is a bridge between level 2 and level 4. It lets kids see the Python code that is equivalent to the blocks in level 2 that they've put together. It allows me to mix things around and then check as I move up to level 4 if I've formatted things correctly, etc. But it's a really nice training wheels equivalent, something like that, as we make that leap. So what we were hoping to do with all of you is to build one program all the way across all the levels. So start in level 1, make something pretty simple, make it more advanced in level 2, 3, 4, etc. So if any of you would like to join me, I'm going to open up my coding screen and you can code along on yours. So if you're on a laptop, it would be code.irobot.com. And if you're not up for following along, it's totally cool. I'll try to explain things the best that I can. And I'll be using the simulator to demonstrate my project, at least in the coding app. But if you do have your physical root robot with you and you'd like to connect, I totally invite you to do that. Yes, code.irobot.com would be the website to go to. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and open up the coding app. And if you navigate to code.irobot.com, this is what you should be seeing. That's on a web browser, right? You can also open it with the iRobot coding app on your phone or tablet. So I'm going to start a new project. And the theme of the project we'll be building today is like a random guess machine. Okay, so you could think about this as like a dice or a magic 8-ball, something like that, right? So first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a really simple program in level 1 that just treats the robot like a spinner, right? So think about like Twister or something like that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab a green block, a blue block, a red block, and then I need something else. Let's grab the black star here, okay? Oh, let's get fancy. Let's give ourselves lots of different options. We'll use the robot, this, and that. Okay. So let's say each of these correspond with a different answer to a question that I'm going to ask, or a color that I'm going to try to put a hand on it for my spinner board, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to say when I press, zoom in here for you guys. When I press the bumper, I want my robot to start spinning around in a circle indefinitely, right? So it's going to go spin, 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 spin. And then when I press the top of the robot, I'd like it to stop its wheels. Okay. There we go. So when bumper press, spin, when top is touched, then it will stop. And now my robot, if I press play, I'm in the slow simulation here. So it's going to go pretty slow, just to let you know. I could speed it up if I'd like to. There we go. I'm spinning. Imagine my robot is spinning really fast in real life. And then I'm going to press stop. And there we go. We've landed on the red rocket ship. And we have our first project. This is a very real program that we've coded our robot to perform, and we feel very proud of ourselves. Before I level up to level 2, does anyone have any questions? Beautiful. Okay, fabulous. I usually take no questions as I've either been very clear or lost everyone. So if it is the latter, do give me like a nice thumbs down, and then I'll repeat myself. So, all right, level 2. So because iRobot translates my code across all the different levels, what I have built in level 1 has graduated up to level 2 with me. So now let's get a little bit fancier. And I am going to reset my simulator. So I'm going to put those blocks and those stickers back. I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to say this time, instead of spinning, I'd like my robot to glow different colors and have those colors correspond to answers. So we'll have red mean no, green mean yes, and yellow can mean maybe. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to the math block. And I'm going to say, when my bumpers are pressed, I'm going to have my robot think of a random number. Okay. So this variable will represent the number or the thought bubble, right, that my robot is having. All right. So we're going to fill this thought bubble here with this random integer block. Okay. I'm going to make my simulator smaller. And I'm going to say my robot's only allowed to think of a number from 0 to 2. Okay, so it'd be 0, 1, or 2. I have an integer set here. I could always make it a decimal, and obviously that's an infinite amount of variables between 0 and 2. We're just going to keep it at integer to be nice and simple. All right, so now we're not spinning again, so we can delete that block. And we're going to say when my top is touched, we're going to check to see what that variable is. Okay. And we're going to say if, and then I'm going back to math again. Oh, now I'm going back to logic. Sorry. If that number equals 0. So I'm going to go and get my variable here. So if the number I've thought of, that thought bubble, is equal to 0, then I'd like my robot to set its colors to, this is yellow by default. So we'll see, all right, 0 is my maybe. My robot's not sure about my future. All right, that's fine. Now I'm gonna say else if. So if my number is not equal to 0, instead, what if it's equal to 1? Then we're going to have it glow red. All right. I hope I'm not making anybody motion sick with this block drawer spinning back and forth. Little tip, I'll show you in a second, but if I were to click on one of these values right here, the block drawer will automatically filter which blocks can fill that parameter. So if your students are ever confused about what's not going in a certain place, the block drawer will always show you whether they're picking a value that's not correct. All right, so now it says if I have 0, then I'm going to go yellow. If I have 1, then I'm going to go red. And then my remaining color, of course, would be if it's glowing 2. I can just say else because that's the only last option. We're going to glow green. So I'm going to make that red 0, 255. Oh, there we go. Okay, and now if I press play, I'm going to generate a new number with my bumper press, and then I'm going to glow. And there we go. We have a maybe. So will my daughter nap today? No. Oh no, that's on trend with everything. So we can reset that number every time with a bumper press, and then a top touch will give us the answer to our question. Hurrah. All right. I'm going to go up to level 3. Any questions before we level up? Fabulous. Okay, cool. All right. I'm going to press stop, and then I'm going to move up to level 3. There we go. And now I left my simulator on that on that pop-up. That should not happen. And level 3, like I said, we don't get any new blocks down on the bottom here. But what I will do is I'm going to make my program a little bit more efficient and say, instead of needing to press the bumper to generate a new variable every time, I'm just going to move this right down and I'm going to say it's going to generate a new number. The robot's going to think of a new number in its thought bubble every time I press the top, and then right away it's going to tell me what it is. Okay, so I can get rid of that bump altogether. There we go. Now if I press play, I touch the top, and there we go. My program is very efficient now. Nice. All right, beautiful. So now I have my project and I want to make it a little bit more, I'm going to make it fancier, and I want to use the printer in the Python tool that we shared, the Python playground, to print an answer. So instead of having to use lights, I want my robot to just print in the output. Yes, absolutely, obviously, no, you're wild, Rebecca, etc. So I'm going to scoot on up to the Python playground. You can find that at python.irobot.com. And here we go. Oh, William made some adjustments. That's a new box. Nice. All right. And I have my welcome project here. Okay. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to look over here and I'm going to just cheat right now. In the future, we'll be able to say export and I'll be able to import it right over here. But for now, I just have to look between the two of them and copy over my project if I want an exact copy. I cheated. This is very Rachel Ray. The cake is already baked presentation over here. And I'm going to paste some code in. And I'm going to walk you through my updates. Okay. So again, we're starting to see the same things. Okay. I'm going to have event when my robot is touched. True, true, true. See right here, when my robot is touched. True, true, true. We have a little method defined here called touched robot. It's going to use a method from the random library that I imported. So we're going to use a random choice method, and we're going to pick one of the answers from my list here. Okay. So at the very beginning of my project, I made a list of all of the answers that I want my robot to respond with. Yes, no, maybe, obviously. What do you think? What should we add, Anna? What's a good answer? That's a good one. Gorgeous. All right, cool. Yes, no, maybe, obviously. What are you thinking? Perfect. All right. So I've made my list here, right? Students can fill that up with all sorts of different responses. And then we say, I'm going to touch the top. The program is going to pick a random value from my list up here, and it's going to print the random selected number is, or answer is, and then the string. So strings are the words that I have filled in my list. Okay. And then when I press play on my project, before I even touch the top, my robot is going to say, press the top to guess. Okay. So I sadly am at my in-laws house and therefore do not have a robot here with me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this project and I'm going to say Anna's project, save. All right. And then I'm going to beam it over to Anna. All right. Let me do that really quick. And Anna is going to show you how she connects her robot to the Python playground. And she's going to play our example project. Whilst that is beaming over, does anybody have any questions that we can respond, that we can help with? All right. And I think you should just use the one that I already sent you.
And say, I'm like, where are you beaming it to, Rebecca?
I know, it's like, no, it's not working. Slack's misbehaving like crazy. It's okay. Just make sure to add that
Got you.
Yeah. So that's too good. Can't miss that.
All right, let me open this up. Let's see here.
If it is saved, if you're opening it straight from the OneDrive folder, I don't think the playground likes that, which is a nice bug that I found to report to Julian.
See if I can do this.
You
All
got
right. Share this. Okay. All right, so here's my program Rebecca sent over. I'm going to connect my robot. So of course, whenever you connect, you got to make sure your robot's turned on. So robot's turned on. Going to connect. I see a pop-up screen here. I'm only sharing my back screen, but I'm going to pair with my robot. Beep, so it's connected. And then I press play. And then print top to guess. All right, so my program has printed. I'm going to tap the top of my robot. So let's see. Will I have pizza for lunch today? Obviously, no. Okay, good to know. Will I have pizza for dinner? Okay, so there's a delay. Maybe, and yeah, so I'm too eager. I'm like, I really want that pizza. So then you can start to ask a bunch of questions, right? Oh, there's my ums. And they're printing there in the bottom terminal here. Nice. So, questions on our team's end. We can pop through. There's lots of tutorials in here talking about getting started with Python. So starting from 1, I think, well, yeah, we're up to 29 now, Rebecca. And then there's specific root programs here that are already built out. And then once we start talking more about Create 3 or more advanced robot, there are some projects built out here specifically for the sensors and features on that robot. And then our bonus tutorials here too.
Yeah. So, you know, with level 2, those variables are a really powerful way to start getting more advanced projects. You can have the robot behave like a graphing calculator, etc. Start doing really cool stuff with that, have it print different curves. And then of course, with the Python playground, you can import other Python libraries, right? You're not just stuck with the root SDK. So there's an infinite number of things that you can do. You can get fancy, and obviously students can share project files back and forth and iterate on each other's work as well. So there's a lot of potential there.
Yeah, these are some of our docs too that we were chatting about earlier. So all of your cheat codes are in here, as well as your RGB values, and that's a hot topic with students, is trying to understand how much of each you need. Super. So we'll pop over to some of our other examples that we have to share. But again, if folks have questions.
Yeah, we got a question while you put the slides back up, Anna. Does this site only work with Chrome? Awesome question. So if you are on a computer, you do need to be using Google Chrome, specifically for the web Bluetooth capability. That's the one that our team is swearing by and testing with, etc. So I've seen Microsoft Edge claim that it has web Bluetooth, but it does not play well with the root robots Bluetooth and the playground. Yeah, so just a heads up.
Good question. So we started to put together some examples of our favorite projects that folks have created. One, I think specifically thinking about what each clubhouse and Best Buy Teen Tech Center kind of center themselves around, talking about like student expression and voice. I think this project really exemplifies that. We had an educator for middle school students in Kentucky use this prompt with her students. They were middle school, 6th through 8th. So during the pandemic, they were all working, obviously everyone was remote, and their task was to define what their superpower was. and how they were managing through the pandemic. So their inspiration activity was our simulator challenge. If folks have tried that out, awesome. It's all based, this one is based in level 1. We have some other code breaks that are level 1 and level 2 mix, but essentially it's teaching how to use the download codes. And so students wrote about their superpower. So this one, their superpower is music, but then they hid the download code through their writing that they did here, and then coded their own illustrations in the simulator. So we saw some really amazing illustrations come out of this that our team was like absolutely floored by in terms of how people are using the coding interface itself. So I'm sure Among Us is popular in clubhouses. And so one student, these are all the download codes here. One student really worked through a whole sequence of like asking you to change colors. This is in red and this is in green. So you had to follow the instructions through the code. Really a neat way to use the comment block. This student was talking about their superpower being just being able to be in nature. So they coded this really beautiful illustration of out in around some flowers and some bees. And then we had another student who was incredibly skilled at the Rubik's Cube and solving it. So decided to code that here in their final project. So I didn't include the stories that they wrote with it, but could be a really nice prompt for Clubhouse members to be able to take on for a short-term project or a long-term project as well. Another example, and again, these are really leveraging the drawing aspect of the robot. So these are some really in-depth drawings. So thinking about, you can do superpowers, you can do a mural scape. So talking about a dream scene in this example. The prompt was, can you code 3 different locations or 3 different pieces that make up a place or a space that you dream about? So you have obviously some space themed projects here, and then also a cityscape, thinking about a neighborhood or a place where young people live or spend a lot of time. We also were talking about using that random block to create patterns. So one fun activity that we've done is talking about creating wrapping paper, if you want to put it into context. So this is great to do around holiday time or just like celebrating birthdays or celebrating things in general. Obviously you can complete all of these in the simulator, but it's also fun to take that and think about how much space do I need for my root robot to draw this out in a random pattern. So you can use Sharpie markers in there to put out some butcher block paper and start to code your randomized pattern that you've created. And obviously you can do different shapes. We just chose one shape to repeat here. But another really fun way to use and leverage the random integer block that we have.
Yeah, so the idea behind this one, right, is that the robot operates on a centimeter by centimeter grid. So you can measure out the dimensions of the paper that you have, and you can say, all right, go to a random location between, like, you know, if you have a meter long piece of paper, 0 to 100 centimeters, and then maybe it's only 50 centimeters wide. So, you know, X would be 0 to 100 and Y would be 0 to 50. And the robot is drawing, you know, little different patterns all along in it. We did this for our office holiday party a few years ago, and then took the wrapping paper home, and it was really fun. We had a nice time. Yeah, takes a while.
It does.
Take a while.
And then another example we were thinking through was, we started to talk about this with the comment block. So I think just some really fun ways to leverage the comment block, again, is to kind of set up the prompt for how the coding challenge is designed. So you can do different things like welcome to your space mission, and it could be a simple navigation challenge that you only find out once you download the unique 5-character code. And so there can be like daily challenges, right? You can do small things, you can do week-long challenges. We had another group also in Kentucky that coded this jersey and had their students then complete, it was for the Kentucky Derby, and had them complete what the jersey design was going to be. So that was the starting prompt, and they had to download that and then code their response. Again, thinking about the Clubhouse model could be really great for fashion design. You can code really any kind of blank starter template, or members can code blank starter templates, and then pass the download code along and have other members try to solve it, or embellish it with code however they so desire. We created a pumpkin similar template here, so that's great around fall time to code a face in that. But another example that we did was with project codes. We hid them around in a virtual environment in the pandemic to create a scavenger hunt. So you had to download each project, solve the project to be able to find out what the next download code is and where it was located, and then travel to the next spot. So there's lots of really fun things you can do moving up to level 2 and level 3, and leveraging just the comment block itself, but then obviously the ways that you can use the download codes. Awesome.
So we can pause there because the rest of what we're talking about is next steps. We originally had some time set aside for a hands-on coding challenge for you all to complete. We cut that thinking maybe it would be kind of rushed. So before we move on to next steps, I'd love to hear from you guys if you're interested. Whether what we shared answered the questions that prompted you guys registering for this conversation, or what you'd like to hear about more. We have about 10 minutes of unstructured, unplanned time at this point. So can we help with anything? Nice. Good. What I'm seeing is we answered all of the questions.
Are there any projects that folks are leading or plan to lead level 2 and beyond with your members?
I don't have any projects set up so far like that, but I know we're leveraging this with our CSC program. And are you guys available for like guest speakers, or because we do a lot of virtual site visits and things like that to make it applicable for our kids? Because what happened is, like, they'll see me playing with it on the iPad, or I take it out in the middle to gain some interest. And after level 1, you know, they start to get like, oh, okay, what is this? This is stupid. And I'm like, no, this is how you build blocks to get to, you know, the Carnegie Mellon Robotics Academy and all this stuff like that. But I got to tie that in with, oh, this is the people that do the vacuum, you know what I mean? Like, so are you guys available to speak to our youth on like career options and things like that?
Yeah, I think Rebecca and I are definitely accessible, but the greater iRobot organization has a STEM outreach program. So if you're looking to speak to folks that work on Roomba, or folks that work on graphic design or UX, or really any kind of tech career at a tech company, we can definitely set up a session to work with your members to talk more with them. It can be a panel base, right, where they're asking questions. It can be just like kind of at our day-to-day at a tech company. I think would fit really nicely into a C2C option. If you're looking specifically on like tips and tricks on how to get started with Root and the iRobot coding app, I think Rebecca and I can be good point people there. Yeah. But we can share the link for the STEM outreach forum as well.
Yeah, the virtual museum tour is a really, really great option. Did you say that, Anna? My audio cut out for a second.
No.
Yeah. No. So our STEM volunteer team also, we have a museum at iRobot headquarters that shows all of the different iterations of the Roomba, all of the different prototypes, the technology behind it, as well as some past successful and failed inventions, which is really cool. And they tie that whole process into, or that whole tour into the engineering design process, and all the different roles that make up a team that would bring this thing to market. So that would be really great too. Anna just put that in the chat.
I'll put a couple links in for STEM. The first one is plan and experience on your own. And then I'll share the museum tours as well.
Yeah. We, somebody asked about translating back and forth the different levels. So that's an awesome question. If I were to build a project in level 1, right, and then go up to level 2 and add a level 2 block that isn't in level 1, it's like a variable block, and then I tried to go back down to level 1, I'll get a pop-up saying, you know, you're about to switch levels, you'll lose a little bit of data. And then that block will just disappear in level 1. So you'll see the rest of the project, just not those commands. Yeah, we've tried very hard to make some level 1 blocks that only appear if you do go back down. So like if you spend a lot of time in comments and you write a lot of text out and you go back to level 1, all of that text will still survive if you go back up. Yeah, good question. We get that a lot. Yeah, awesome. Okay, beautiful. So
I had a quick
go
question.
ahead.
For the tutorials that are in the Python playground, when I open those, are the tutorials like written out in comments, like as
they are, yeah. So it is all based in line in the projects. We are actively right now working on a set of videos and project cards to go along with that curriculum, and that will hopefully be done right around the fall or so. So keep an eye out. And if you're on our email list, we'll be pinging that to let you guys know that it's done and ready. If you're not, there should be a link that I'll take that one, Anna, edu.irobot.com/sign up. And that will be, yeah, good question. Also a note, those comments that are in all the tutorials are contributed from people that know Python extremely well, and then those that are new and therefore are benefiting from the tutorials as we write them, like myself. So let us know, please do reach out if something isn't making sense or anything like that, because it's a pretty fresh product. So we're looking for feedback all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, I'm happy to talk about webinars now, Anna, if you want. Yeah,
can bring it home.
Yeah, let's do it. So we do offer a bunch of different webinars over the summer during school break. Here are a few of them. We have Block to Text Coding, a Love Story. So this was actually a really nice prototype for us as we prepare for that webinar in a few weeks. It will be the slides that we shared today, plus a lot more specific examples and some like classroom talk about like logistically, how do we recommend teaching this block of code versus like how to translate it to level 3 and 4, etc. The concepts behind the coding too. So that's what that webinar will be. That's on May 19th of this year. In June, we have Revitalizing the Summer Reading List. So talking about connecting coding and robotics to all of the literature that students will be reading over the summer. So we're going to pick some of the most popular summer reading options and create some projects that we'll recommend people try out. And then an outline of how to do that yourself with literature of your choice. We'll have Celebrating Soft Skills with Robots on July 14th. That's something Anna and I are both extremely passionate about. It's practicing social emotional learning with coding and robotics and how to design projects that teach students how to make coding a social activity and one that teaches them how to communicate better, which definitely goes against many stereotypes of coding being an isolated activity that those who don't communicate well love the most, right? Like we want to make it something that everybody can enjoy and empowers everyone to connect with those around them better. And then we bring it home. That date's not right. June 9th is not right. That did not update. I'm sorry. But we have DIY family engagement event kits. So this is an event kit that our team has put together that you can download that has a bunch of different facilitation resources. So like a PowerPoint guide, printable cards, etc. That give a challenge and instructions with the robot that's pizza themed, that is all designed for intergenerational learning. So like students arrive with their households and they're teaching their adults how to use the robot. The adults are learning. There's some fun crossover between different groups with that event kit. So we walk through those resources and how we recommend schools and other learning sites are able to do it for themselves. Yeah. So it's a fun list coming up. We're really excited.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So all of these, by the way, they should all be on Thursdays and they all take place at 7 p.m. Eastern time. I should have put that on that slide. They are recorded. So if people do register, you can register for those through our email list, which I put in the chat to sign up for. And you receive the recording if you aren't able to attend in person, as long as you register. Okay.
Love
And,
it.
yeah.
The other, I'll just follow up the other links I put in the
Sure.
chat, again, are around STEM outreach resources. So the one question that came in around supporting C2C, you can request your own custom visit with our team. Then we're also doing live tours, live museum tours this month. There are a few more left, which may or may not fall within your programming hours. But like Rebecca said about our learning design webinars, if you register for them, we still send out the recording. And those have been really, really fun to have live with students, where there's available for grades 3rd through 12th grade. So it's a wide mix, but yeah, really captures the 30 plus years of history that iRobot has gone through. So every time I'm in one, I'm learning new things. We just have a dinosaur robot that one of the students in the call picked out. And you get to ride on the mobile robot that we have. So it's a pretty cool experience. And then Rebecca had also mentioned the museum app. That's available for download on Android and iOS devices. There's also a web version as well, if you have students who need things translated into other languages. But yeah, any other questions for us or any projects you're thinking of? I saw Garrett put in the chat, gonna be doing some, let's see, having a robot competition. Okay. I love that 1 hour of coding. So members are gonna go head to head to try to figure out the challenge. There's nothing like a good competition in the clubhouse. Nothing motivates young people, adults, better than like some good, wholesome competition.
Awesome. Cool. So I think we can close here. Let's see, Stephanie, you have my email address and Anna's email address. So if folks do end up having questions after this, or if you're looking for more guidance in a specific area, feel free to reach out and we can make sure to support you in any way that you need so that you and your students are able to be successful. Yeah. Thank you all.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. And we will be sharing this recording with everyone that registered later today. So, thank you, everyone.
All right. Thanks.
Woohoo. Go team.